Hey guys, TheSneakySnake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video is a replay that I had in the Ibuki, the Tier 9 Japanese heavy cruiser. I'm divisioned up with a couple of my buddies that I've met through APOC, Captain Z-Man and Scam Newton. Scam Newton's playing in his Utiloi, Captain Z-Man's playing in his Missouri, and we're playing some domination here on the map Loop. So, this replay is titled How to Carry 101, and this is one of the best games that I've had in the past couple weeks. I've actually been playing at a statistically very, very high level, even for my own lofty standards, to be honest with you. And this is one that I really wanted to feature, not only because it's a 9 versus 9, this was rather late at night for Eastern time, and I don't even think there was 2,500 people online, so the dynamics of the game are a little bit different considering it's only 9v9, but also the Ibuki as a whole is a ship that doesn't get a lot of love amongst the World of Warships community, and I kind of wanted to dispel that notion. Statistically speaking, in this ship, this is one of my best cruisers, and I am known for, and cruisers are also my favorite class of ship to play. And the Ibuki is something that it combines a lot of the good traits of a Zhao and a Mogami, and it fits at Tier 9 right in between them, so there's a lot of good things to like about the ship. You have the same armament, the same layout as a Mogami. You get torpedoes on both sides, you get 2 quad launchers, and then of course you also have 10 203mm main guns. But the differences between the Tier 8 and the 9, it comes in the equipment and the consumables. For starters, you can see on screen that you have access to the repair party, so you can get some of your hit points back, which is very important, and it's something that starts on all Tier 9 cruisers and above, except for, of course, the Otago at Tier 8, and then British light cruisers starting at Tier 6. But the reason why it's so important is because the theoretical amount of hit points that you have is greatly increased. You can also get the detectability on this thing down to below 10 kilometers. The AA armament is significantly reinforced. I don't go with an AA build, but my rating is 67, so with defensive AA, it will be able to hold up pretty decently against enemy CV attack. And overall, this ship is just about dealing damage, and probably the most important reason why it's able to deal damage is because one of the equipment pieces that you can put on is the increased range, so you can get this fully upgraded, being able to shoot at a range of 19.2 kilometers, basically the same as the Tier 8 Kutuzov. And what it allows you to do is to not only be able to stealth fire, which is something that may or may not be getting rid of here relatively shortly, but it allows you to control engagements, because since you have a really good concealment rating, it makes it so that any bad situation that you get yourself into, you can easily get out of it without too much difficulty. So here at the beginning of the game, the majority of our team is heading over towards Objective Alpha, and you can see on the minimap that the majority of the enemy team is heading towards Objective Charlie. So our buddies over there at sea are not going to be lasting very long, and I'm about to run into the Scharnhorst, so please bear with me here. But we decided that we were going to make a hard push for A, and then we were going to swing in and try to see what we could do at Objective Bravo. And, you know, the enemy team is doing the exact same plan, except in reverse. So I'm getting some shots here at the Missouri, and so far my accuracy has actually been a little bit poor. Granted, I did run into the Scharnhorst, like I mentioned, so I kind of threw my aim off a little bit. But, yeah. I'm pretty good at shooting. I think my hit rate is over 40%, and it's still continuing to climb. So some very shoddy accuracy here at the beginning of the game. So the score is 250 to 338. One of the enemy ships, the Gneisenau on the enemy team, managed to take out one of our cruisers, so we are at a disadvantage. They are also capturing Objective Bravo. They have since captured Objective Charlie, and if it wasn't for one of our destroyers in the Mahan up there in Objective Alpha, they would almost have all 3 of the caps, so this is not looking too good. So now I decided that we're going to make a nice push in there. Now, one thing about the Ibuki that I forgot to mention, I think I did anyway, is that it has significantly reinforced armor. Now, you're still going to get citadeled to death if you give a broadside on this thing, but it's a lot less fragile than the Mogami is at Tier 8. That thing is a citadel waiting to happen. Looking for a shot here on the enemy Yagumo. They do manage to capture Objective Alpha, unfortunately, but some shells are going to slam home into that destroyer, get 4 solid penetrations for about 2,500 points of damage set of fire, so he is in a world of hurt. You can see here the time is of the essence. You know, we got to push into A right now. So all of us, my buddy in Utiloi, the Scharnhorst, we're all making a push here. We are focusing down the enemy Missouri because he is the most dangerous ship that is over here. As I managed to get a nice salvo of over 3,000 and set 2 fires on that American battleship. So he is going to continue to burn, and then I'm going to be able to loop some shells over the island. The Ibuki does have great shell velocity, but you can still do stuff just like that. Get about 4,000, over 4,000 damage with 6 hits, and yet another fire set. So very good. And now I'm switching to armor armor piercing, and here's one of the big mistakes that I make. It's a Pensacola, for crying out loud. Full broadside at 8 kilometers away. The shell's flying on the target. I aim just too high and only managed to get 1 Citadel and 2 overpens as I kill the Missouri for my first ship sunk of the game. So I miss out on a double strike opportunity there. Again, that Pensacola is a Citadel waiting to happen, just like the Mogami, and I absolutely biffed the shot. I was a little upset with myself, but alas, we have secured, or we're about to secure Objective Alpha, the other 2 ships that are over here on very low health. And you can see here that also, if you noticed, I was going to shoot armor piercing at that Yugumo, but I decided to switch back to high explosive, so I lost about 5 seconds worth of time on the reload, and I wasn't able to secure the kill on that Japanese destroyer, so something to note right there. So the accuracy has been shoddy, the shot placement hasn't been good, and I missed out on a kill on that destroyer. We'll see what other mistakes that I make in the game, and we'll see how it affects the gameplay as a whole. So we're finally capturing Objective Alpha. It's 310 to 360. The enemy team, including Fog Carrier Shokaku, any Fog guys out there, and especially you watching this replay, thank you very much. I enjoy playing against you guys. It's fun in the whole Supremacy League tournament. Making a nice push into Objective Bravo, and he manages to secure his next kill. I believe that's his 2nd kill of the game so far on our buddy in the Missouri. So yeah, it's not looking good at all. The enemy team, we have lost 3 ships apiece. However, since they have the huge cap advantage, it's going to be on us to be more aggressive. And considering the fact that we have a Mahan on low health and a Scharnhorst, which in a tier 7 game is very good for pushing, but in a tier 9 game can be a bit difficult. Continuing to try to get the cap here at Objective Alpha. Somebody keeps on getting hit every once in a while. I probably should have shot armor piercing at the Indianapolis, and I only do about 2,600 points of damage, so that's not the best there. And unfortunately, Shokaku is still on full health, so we're going to have to deal with him pretty quickly here. I'm looking for a long-range shot now on the enemy Otago at 12.5 kilometers away. He is sailing away. However, this is actually going to be one of my better salvos of the game, as the shell is falling on the target. He already used his damage con, and I get a double fire and 3,200 points of damage, so a very nice shot right there. Torpedoes are coming in, probably from the Otago, as he was launching it this way. But I have to pay attention now to Shokaku once more in the Nice now. The Tashkent appears also at full health, so you can see here that we're pretty much getting pushed over onto this 1/3 of the map. And I can't really push in and be uber aggressive, though. Yes, I do have the glorious torpedoes on each side, but I can't just go straight up 1v1 against that Shokaku. There we go. 6,000, or again, against Shokaku, I should say. We're going to have to whittle his hit points down, so what I'm hoping here is that by burning his damage con and getting his hit points down, I'm going to continue to focus fire on this guy because we need to make it so that he is a lot more vulnerable. There we go. Now I got 2 fires burning on that guy, about 9,000 points of damage in the last 2 salvos, and now I'm switching my focus here to the enemy Indianapolis. But unfortunately, right as I'm about to pull the trigger, once more I do not have AP loaded, and he's going to turn in extremely hard. Those American cruisers do have very good turning radii, and I managed to only do 2,600 damage, and I leave him on 600 health. So now I'm going to switch back to the Nizen out here. He has burned his damage con some time ago, so I want to get yet another fire raging on that guy to try and make it a little easier for our guys to be able to do so. And there we go. Get another fire, about 3,000 points of damage. And I'm considering shooting another salvo at him to try to get another fire going. But at this point, the Indianapolis still hasn't been killed. We lose 2 ships in quick succession, and we're in a 3 versus 6. However, I will take out that tier 7 American heavy cruiser, pick up my 2nd kill of the game, and I have 85,000 damage. Now, at this point, I get lowered in a little bit by him not shooting at anyone for a while. Luckily for me, he aims just a little bit too high, and I only take 7,000 points of damage, so I got very lucky right there. Even at that kind of angle, yeah, I would have been Citadel if his aim was true. Again, luckily for me, it was not. And now my secondaries are actually registering a couple hits on this guy as well. So I'm going to try to get yet another salvo into this dude. I believe he's burning in 2 places. Hopefully I can make that 3. Yes, sir, we do. So now he's going to continue to burn. The damage is now spiking on my end, and I'm getting ready to head around the corner to get a shot at the Otago, but I inexplicably forget to load the armor piercing. I thought that I pressed the 2 key. So as I was coming around the island here, get my health going, so I'm going to go back to over 30,000 hit points, full broadside Otago, and right as I shot, I was like, wait, that's high explosive. Oh, man. I do about 4,000 damage and pick up the high caliber, but I should have been able to delete this guy. So I'm trying to bring the Nizenau back around. I am slowing down to try and get the rear two turrets to be able to shoot around the island. Unfortunately, I put him on 59 hit points. The Otago does launch his torpedoes. We're now in a 2 versus 5, and unfortunately for me, I'm going to eat one right on the bow, take about 13,000 points of damage. and flood. So at this point, I have to turn away from the enemy ships, and obviously it would be the sensible play to do. The Atago shoots his high explosive salvo at me, does about 2,500 points of damage. Now I'm loading the AP. I'm making a very calculated risk here, assuming that this Atago is not going to be loading armor piercing. He shoots a high explosive salvo at me. My assumption was correct. I still take 7,000 points of damage, but I shoot my armor piercing salvo at him. Cool kids don't look at the kills. Get a double citadel, 13,000 points of damage, and then I immediately swing around and get my starboard side of torpedoes out on the enemy knives. Now all I have to have is one torpedo hit, so I launched one to the left and one a little bit into the right, managed to hit him with a few more shells, pick up the arsonist, get my 4th kill of the game. So now at this point, a 2 versus 5 has been changed into a 2 versus 3. So very intense right there for the last 5 minutes or so. Again, the damage has spiked considerably to almost 130,000. And now at this point, there's no reason for me to continue shooting. I only have 7,000 hit points, and I do get lit on fire right here, so I'm immediately going to put it out. Now, while all this was happening, our destroyer that was over at Charlie managed to not get himself killed. So what I'm doing here is I wanted to wait for him to come back. It's extremely important at the end of the game when you're in these kind of situations where you need to group up with your teammates. So at this point, I was thinking to myself, okay, we need to get into Objective Bravo and get the 2 versus 1 cap. I'm also getting some hit points back, and I'm still going to have 1 heal after this, and I'm also letting my damage con cool down so that I will have my repair ready to go when I'm ready to start this engagement. And you can see here, the Baltimore is going to continue to be spotted by myself unless I pull the trigger. And again, this is something I am controlling the engagement. He has more than double the amount of hit points that I have, and it's at this point that I feel comfortable enough to do so. The Yagumo in front of me is actually going to lay some smoke for me right here. I managed to do about 5,000 points of damage and set the Baltimore on fire. That's exactly what I was looking for. He immediately burns his damage con. Something that I don't recommend in Tier 9 cruisers, just like battleships. You know, you do have the heal, and it can... you're not going to lose too many hit points from one fire. So now as I go into the smoke, I'm going to dodge some more shells. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a second fire on this guy, and I do manage to do so. 4,000 damage done, and I set his bow on fire. And hopefully, I'll be able to get another shot on him before he disappears. Unfortunately, he does, with about 2 seconds left on the reload. I'm going to blind fire out at him, and we'll see if I'm able to register some hits. And I do. 4 hits for about 3,000 points of damage. So you can see there how I was able to manipulate the Baltimore into playing into my hands. I was able to reduce his hit points to a considerable degree, and now he's actually going to have less than I do. And I got my next heal coming up in 20 seconds. So I played that almost perfectly. I lost almost nothing hit points-wise, and now I'm going to be able to re-engage this guy with the hit point advantage. So right there, some excellent play right there by myself, and something that, again, this is what Japanese heavy cruisers are extremely good at. Now, as I'm getting ready to shoot my next salvo at the Tashkent, I notice out of the corner of my eye the Akizuki, lightning-fast reflexes. I swing my guns into play. The turret traverse on this thing is very good. He slows down at the very last second. I'm going to hit quite a few shells on the bow and put him on 246 health. But did you notice that my secondaries are actually taking shots at him as I move within 6.5 kilometers? We'll see here. Get the full broadside out. Thankfully, the Yagumo manages to take out the Baltimore, and my secondaries managed to secure the Kraken. That Akizuki made a horrible play showing himself with only 1,700 hit points, and I certainly made him pay for it. So now I'm going to turn back to starboard. I'm assuming that the Tashkent, I should say, launched his torpedoes, and the maneuverability on this thing is stellar. With the rudder shift time, you can get it down to 5.8 seconds. I make another mistake here by loading high explosive. Should have left the armor piercing in the tubes, because now with 6 seconds left on the reload, the Tashkent appears at 4.5 kilometers away on 9,000 hit points. But that's okay, because high explosive that hits that Tashkent does so much damage. I'm up to 150,000 points of damage, do about 2,000 there, and there we go. The inevitable torpedoes. Managed to dodge some on the left, and I believe another salvo is going to go off on the starboard side. My Yagumo friend continues to capture Bravo, and it's at this point that the game is secure. And right there, I mean, yeah, I was definitely trying pretty hard. I got to pick up the Confederate there, my 5th medal of the game, but I managed my strengths in such a way that even though I did make a few mistakes, the power of the Ibuki just right there showing through. And as you look around the screen right now, I have 13,000 hit points. That's actually more hit points than I had when I was in that 2 versus 3 going against the Baltimore. So judicial use of the repair party and damage con, and just making use of the strengths. And right here, I'm going to get my 2 forward guns out on the Tashkent, and we're going to finish off an excellent game, securing my 6th kill of the game. What a result in the Ibuki. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 520,000 credits received and just over 10,000 1,000 total XP. This was not the first win of the day. Pick up a Confederate, a close quarters expert of all things, arsonist, kraken, and high caliber. Just shy of 160,000 damage done off of 148 shell hits and 1 torpedo hit. 6 ships sent to the bottom out of a total of 9. 16 fires, 3 citadels, 2 assisted base captures, and my favorite one, 11 hits with secondaries. Taking a look at the team score, yeah, what a carry. 2,848 base XP, taking the bull by the horns in a 5 versus 2 situation, and even through a few mistakes, not losing my cool, taking care of business, and honestly just making the enemy team pay for being a little disorganized and being a little too aggressive. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this replay. Please consider giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel, possibly leaving a comment. All of it is much appreciated, and we thank you for your continuing support. This is the Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, signing off. Guys and gals, have a great day.